Yeah, before we get back to more of that conversation, time for another one-on-one segment with Eric Winston, spending time here in the fourth quarter with Sports Radio 790 morning show host Lance Zierlein, Sports Talk 790. What do you guys go by now?
I think Sports Talk 790 is what we're doing.
That's
all right.
Before
I just
Eric,
call it 790. I'm old school. Mama call him Clay. I'm gonna call him
before
Clay.
Eric and Mike get into their stances here, let's check out a clip of Lance Zierlein with Mel Kiper breaking down the 2011 draft.
Lance Zierlein here with First Round Exchange. You may not know me, but I know you know the gentleman to my right. That would be Mel Kiper. Mel, welcome to the show.
Lance, great to be here. And we've talked about overvalued players. And I always talk about who my ratings are, how my analysis is, my mock draft. Lance, you do this, you study this, you've been around the game forever, your whole life. What do you think right now in terms of players that are overvalued going into this draft?
Well, let's take a look at the market right now. I'll give you one example. Stephen Paya from Oregon State. I love the guy. Love him as a player. Tore the meniscus there at the Senior Bowl, and I was there and I spoke to him about it. And I'm a little bit concerned about his overall health right now, and that's the only reason right now I think that his market value is a little bit overvalued. If he were healthy, sure, 34, I could see that. But right now with his injury where it is, I think teams are more likely to play it safe, and I just think he's feels a little volatile, like teams may back off of him a little bit.
The name that gets my attention right away, because I had this guy #1 on the board back in August and early September, quarterback Jake Locker. You have him as overvalued. Why, Lance?
Well, I have him as overvalued because I think a lot of people are hearing that Jake may go on the first. Everyone's saying
I'm one of those.
He's going to go on the first, and I think he very well could, but I think there's also a chance. Now, he's one I would probably stay away from altogether because I understand he could go way higher than I expect. But I think the way he played, Mel, and what he did on tape, and I know a lot of evaluators around the league say the tape doesn't lie. He's a quarterback, so everyone's willing to risk it for a quarterback. But if they look at the tape and they really evaluate on tape, I think he could end up falling into that second round.
So to break Jake Locker down, I'm thinking maybe 25 to Seattle, maybe Minnesota at 12, trading down. Jake Locker going in the 20s. You're thinking he could go second round.
I've got him Buffalo 34th. I think it's a need for them, and if he does slip, that's obviously a place that I think that he could end up.
All right, Lance, thanks for being here. Thanks for going on-on-one with us here.
Yeah.
Now, let's get right to it. Your sports career began at the age of 12. How did that happen?
Did it?
I got you as a sports editor of the
That was of
your middle school.
This is why you can't believe those bios, because my buddy Chance McClain made up. He said, "Give me a bio." I'm like, and I didn't give him a bio on time, so he made up a complete bio. So I didn't start at 12. I actually was. No, it's pretty close though. He guessed. By the age of 14, I wrote. In 8th grade, I covered the 1983 slam dunk contest that was just on TNT, and you saw some of the highlights. Like Ralph Sampson was in it, and they had Terrence. I can't remember if Terrence Stansbury was in it, but that was back when the slam dunk contest was first starting back up.
Right.
And so I wrote about that for the junior high newspaper, and to me it was like the coolest thing ever. I got to write about a slam dunk contest. I thought it was awesome.
All right, so you're a son of a coach. Your dad's been an offensive line coach around the NFL and in college, right?
Yeah, he started at University of Houston actually. When I was, he started in 1978, and he was there in that famous Joe Montana Cotton Bowl game that started the legend of Joe Montana. So he coached there a couple years at LSU. He coached at Tulane. He was on a staff with, how about this staff at Cincinnati? He was on with Mike Tomlin, Rex Ryan. It was my dad, Mike Tomlin, Rex Ryan, and there was one other big name coach that I can't remember.
Cincinnati Bengals or University of Cincinnati?
No, University of Cincinnati.
Wow.
And then in the pros, he was with Butch Davis over at Cleveland for 4 years. He was in Buffalo for a year with his friend Jim McNally. He was an assistant offensive line coach, and then Pittsburgh Steelers for 3 years. And I got to see him win a Super Bowl, which was really cool because I was, he was kind of in line to be the next head coach at University of Houston at a pretty young age. I think late 30s, early 40s. By the time he was in his early 40s, he was kind of set to be. He turned down jobs with Jimmy Johnson at Oklahoma State, Darryl Rogers at Arizona State, and he turned down some pretty cool jobs because he thought he was going to be the next head coach at U of H, and then that didn't end up working out. And then after that, he kind of struggled with some very average teams. He was never on teams with great talent, and so I watched him really have to coach a lot of average teams over his whole career. And the whole time, I'm thinking, I don't know, hit the mic. I don't know if he thought this, but I'm thinking, wow, how much different would things have been if he would have gone with Jimmy Johnson. And one of the reasons I don't think he did is because I was a junior in high school at the time, and I kind of felt guilty. Like, hopefully you're not,
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to go anywhere. I wanted to
Sure.
stay here and finish high school here in the Houston area. But to watch him out on the field with my mom, because coaches and their wives go through so much together.
Man,
it's such a stressful.
It's unbelievable.
It's
People have
unbelievable.
no idea the time commitment they put.
Yeah, and I'm sure, and players and wives too.
That had to be a special moment.
Yeah, it was really cool. I was at the game and watching my mom and this. He was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and when the Arizona Cardinals went down and scored, I saw a look in her face, and I just wanted to cry because she had this look of just despair, where they were so close, it looked like, to a Super Bowl win, and then all of a sudden it looked like it wasn't going to happen, and then Ben Roethlisberger and Santonio Holmes hook up for an unbelievable touchdown, and just watching that, it wasn't overwhelming jubilation. It was for the play, but then it was just watching those two on the field, just kind of the relief, almost like, wow, things finally worked out for us, and so that's been cool. My brother, I was more into basketball, so I played football, basketball, baseball, but I really, really love basketball. But my brother, he played college football in Nicholls State and is a head coach here at Clear Falls. So I come from a football family. I didn't really start loving football hardcore until actually I was out of college. And that's when
Now
I got into it.
you're huge into the draft. You're huge. I mean, if people, we'll put your websites and stuff out there at the end of this. But you're huge into the draft. They're huge at evaluating players, and overall knowledge. I said of college, of pro, everything. And that's what turned you. What was that turning point for you when you got out of college? That you're like, that you found yourself just really evaluating and watching football so much.
Well, it was kind of funny because the evaluating didn't come until later. I mean, I enjoyed the draft, and I was doing my own amateur draft stuff, but the evaluating part really for me came when I got to be good friends with Alonzo Highsmith. I knew Alonzo when he was still boxing, so he wasn't even working for the Packers yet. And probably late 90s, early 2000s, I started going from, I knew all about my college players, and I had my analysis, but the average fan, a lot of us think we know it, but until you get with NFL people or real evaluators, you learn a completely different way to evaluate them. It's a very humbling experience. So for me, the turning point for me was that I wanted to be with football people and understand what football people were seeing, and not just from a fan's perspective, because I can tell you who the good college football players were, but understanding what made them great and what made a great college back turn into an average NFL back, that's intriguing to me. Like, wow, why is that guy so great in college and he doesn't do anything in the pros?
Now, you routinely put out a lot of material, newsletters. You had a newsletter last year. Are you still doing it this year?
Yeah, we took it to the website, so it's now thesidelineview.com.
Okay.
So our football newsletter is now on the website, and then I do the Houston Chronicle blog.
And that's viewed was that subscribed to by some NFL teams?
Yeah, the old newsletter was. I had about 4 different NFL teams that would get. It was called A View from the Sideline, and then that was taken, the web address, so we changed it to the Sideline View when we moved it online. But yeah, I had some NFL teams check it out. We did a NFL analysis game by game. We did college football analysis. We did fantasy football, and we did draft. But our breakdowns were really, really thorough. We spent a bunch of time in it and had a lot of coaches who really enjoyed it. My college football guy, John Harris, is one of the very best in college football at writing. And so it was pretty cool that I had some coaches on the road say, hey, why don't you put me on your little email list that you have? And I don't know. Maybe they look at the website now. Maybe they don't. I don't know.
So you also, the funny thing about your show, and I think if people listen to a show, you also got some personalities. I want to talk to the SEC guy for a second. Is he around? Mm-hmm. Now, what did you think about the Alabama and the LSU game?
Well, watching Bama LSU, see, the thing on this is you watch Bama and you say, well, what's going on, Nick Saban? You're running this team into the ground, and I'm halfway getting ready to get rid of him. He's almost run himself clear out of Alabama. You don't just come into a game like that against a nincompoop like Les Miles. When he wins the coaching check mark, your days are numbered. It's real simple on that one. So here's the story on this. You lose to Auburn, pack your stuff up, you're gone. Kirby Smart will take over for the bowl game, and that's that. Period. Goodbye.
He's got a little Alex Gibbs in him too.
Yeah, it depends on the day. Because, it's really, I created it based on, it used to be much slower. It used to be right here. And I did it kind of to clown the old SC. Well, our conference is the very best, and it was way over, the best conference in the world. And then I sped it up a little over time. And it's kind of, I have all the respect in the world for Southeastern Conference football, but their fans are dangerous.
Obnoxious.
I mean, they're obnoxious to the point of you have to be careful about even joking about their football.
We got like a minute left. Now, plug your stuff. You got obviously a Sideline View.
TheSidelineView.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Lance Zierlein.
And you're still doing stuff for the Chronicle.
And the Z Report in the Houston Chronicle, where I put the 4 keys to the Texans' success this year. Wade Phillips, number 1. You tell me if I'm right. Wade Phillips, number 1. Brian Cushing returning to form, number 2. Jonathan Joseph, number 3. And then I put the dual Russian attack, having 2 backs that dangerous.
I read it actually today.
Oh, okay, good.
5 years from now, what do you want to be doing? Where are you at? What's kind of your dreams? What are you hoping?
5 years from now, I want to be taking my first round exchange NFL interactive draft game that I'm involved with, and the Sideline View. I'd like to take them national, and then I'd like to be doing just football on the radio, maybe 2 to 3 hours a day, just talking college, pro football.
You ever wish you followed kind of Alonzo's footsteps and got in the front office of a team?
Yeah, actually, I think that would be cool, and it's something that I'd still love the opportunity for. I don't know how it will break out. I don't even know how I should approach it, but I'm constantly talking to guys like Zoe and people around the league because I want to learn more about, that side of it as well.
Lance, thanks for coming.
Appreciate it, Eric.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Carol Cogslaughter, and I'm not only the town physician here at Mooresville, I'm also the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Now, let me tell you a little something about Mooresville, Alabama. We were established in 1818, and Bama didn't even become a state until 1819, so technically, we're older than the state of Alabama. And Mooresville's filled with beautiful homes and historic sites and great, beautiful gardens. In fact, this little town is so quaint and genteel that even the little girls come out of the womb knowing how to curtsy. And speaking of Mooresville, how about this little factoid? Andrew Johnson once lived in Mooresville, and he went on to become the President of the United States. How's that sound? We've got the Mooresville Mudhounds, the top pony league team in all of Alabama. We got a 5 and dime that makes the best milkshakes, not those fancy Frosties that just came out. Miami Vice, we are not. Instead, Mooresville, Alabama. The more they change, the more we stay the same.
And a special thanks to Mooresville, Alabama, who's apparently signed on as a new sponsor here of Not Your Ordinary Sports Show.